It's getting so contentious, it seems. It's one sidebar after another. The last sidebar lasted close to 12 minutes. Criminal defense attorney Meg Strickler is here with us now. Meg, let me ask you a couple of things that people have been talking about online. First of all, Ravi's demeanor through this trial. We just caught him again, yawning. And we know a lot of it's tedious. You understand we lost an hour this weekend, so everybody's trying to play catch up. But how important is his demeanor in the courtroom?
It's so important.
Yeah.
And the defense attorney should hammer it into him every single time, every morning. I need you to stand. And when you walk in, acknowledge the jurors. When you sit down, sit properly at all times. If you need to yawn, stifle the yawn, whatnot. Be respectful 100% of the time of the criminal justice system. Otherwise, it will bite you.
How?
If you look like you're doing some body language like this, or body language like, I'm bored of this. I mean, Joran van der Sloot, do you remember when he did that?
Oh, don't we ever? Yeah, here's some of the video you can see. This is, but we've just been seeing this consistently throughout the trial. And, you're trying to make allowances. He's young. I don't know. It's hard to break away from some of his demeanor and take him seriously. And I'm wondering if he takes the stand. Will what they've seen in court up to this point affect him once he takes the stand, if that happens?
Once again, you've made a judgment already. A lot of people tend to judge somebody right when they meet them. You judge a book by its cover. So already they've seen him through the entire case right now, saying these different ways of acknowledging the jury and kind of just being slack and kind of looking like a kid who doesn't care, a kid who disrespects everybody. That hurts him. So he needs to make sure he continues to look good, not bad, where he's done some bad things, but when he gets on the stand, he needs to make sure he shows 100% respect, because that's all this is about. Long and short.
It is about respect, and it is, in the defense's eyes, if we remember during the defense's openings, about him being a kid. They really honed in on the fact, look, he was 18 at the time, he didn't know what he was doing, he didn't understand, that this was an issue, this invasion of privacy was something that could be criminal, on a criminal level. I've listened to people on Twitter and Facebook as I've been asking, do you think Ravi should take the stand? Most people say yes, because they think he needs to be humanized. But there are certainly people who say, look, if he gets on that stand, the prosecution is going to eat him up. Based on what you know of this case, you're a criminal defense attorney. Would you put him on the stand at this point?
I would not put him on the stand. You never want to put a person on the stand if you have a lot of fear of how he's going to portray himself. And since he is a child, he's only 18, he's not going to necessarily, he doesn't really grasp what's going on here in any way, shape, or form.
Well, he's 20 years old. Don't you think that they're talking about, right now, I think part of the contention in court is how much were these other witnesses prepped.
Yeah.
He has to have been prepped. I mean, as I understand it, Joseph Benedict, who is Altman's partner here, teaches witness preparation at the New Jersey Institute. So knowing that he would have that experience to prep his witness, you still don't think, with the tweets, with the text messages, with the interrogation tape that we saw, with everything that he has already said in court via those avenues, you don't think that it would do him well to get up and try to, I guess, explain that intent?
You said humanize, which is a good way of putting it. I don't know this particular client, so I can't necessarily make that decision. But I know my trial experience, I go ahead and prep my defendant at all times. If the person's got enough money, they do hire a witness preparation person. We do a mock trial. We get people to help find juries. We do all those things, okay? But we don't make that decision until the last minute. We really don't. Until the day he's supposed to get up there and testify. Right before I get up is when I make the decision.
I just can't imagine. I want to get you back to... Oh, no, okay, I'm sorry. I thought that they were arguing something outside the presence of the jury, but it looks like they just wrapped that up. And I'm wondering, when we were watching where Attorney Altman was going, he seems to, as I said before, really hone in on how much time the investigator who's on the stand right now spent with the other witnesses that have already taken the stand. Could that score him some points in terms of trying to intimate to the jury that, hey, he prepped these witnesses. They came in and said what he wanted them to say.
Well, you're asking a defense lawyer that. The prosecution always preps their witnesses. You have to prepare a witness to testify. You got to let them know what I'm going to ask them on a direct examination. It's just par for the course. It's what we do. So it's not a bad thing. And I think what hurts more are the witnesses that did testify that have much more of a tie to the father, that don't really know Ravi at all, and just come up and say, yeah, I know him since he was a little baby, but have you seen him recently? Have you seen him when he went off the records?
Yeah, I want to ask
things?
you about that, because a lot of people have questions about that as well. So here you are, your defense case, right out of the gate, first day, they went through 7 witnesses in, I want to say, 45 minutes. The defense really probably didn't direct them for more than anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes at a time, asking them all the same questions. Did you, what do you know of Dharun Ravi? Have you ever heard him say anything demeaning against homosexuals, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, they were all witnesses that were family friends who had known him for anywhere from maybe 6 to 10 years, but knew him in social settings, were acquaintances or business associates with his father. Is that how you would have started this defense case?
Hey, you work with what you got. So obviously this is what they have, is they want to show that he's a good guy. I mean, he's just a good kid who grew up in a nice little North New Jersey suburb and blah, blah, blah. And that is true. But what we're all forgetting is that what happened here is what he did is beyond all these things about character. One thing I want to point out that's a little tangential is that what this case is about is something that wasn't even a crime 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, because the internet just keeps blossoming. And so none of us know what's going on here in that sense. So we don't really know how to defend these cases because it's brand new. It's a wild, wild west.
But invasion of privacy is not brand new.
No, an invasion of privacy is not. But the fact that these things that are going on the internet, the whole defense about he didn't really realize what he was doing was wrong, has a little more credence because he fundamentally really didn't know it was a crime. The kids that grow up these days are immersed with social media. I mean, these iPads, the iPhones, I mean, Xboxes, everything has a hard drive.
But then what do you say to people who say, well, he should be held accountable because people need to know it and he's going to be the poster child for what you should and should not do?
Well, I think that's what's going on here, is that they're making this the poster child. All I'm trying to say is the defense is using a good argument of, look, he's just like everybody else. He's just living his life, and I don't think he realized the gravity, the severity of what he did. I'm not defending it. I'm just giving you the defense argument.
Right. Well, then that's what I love. I want to show you some sound from last Friday. One of the family friends who was brought to the stand, this was part of what he said in court.
Have you, in your own personal interactions with Dharun, ever heard him use any derogatory words towards homosexuals in general?
No.
Have you ever heard him say anything derogatory about any person who may or may not have been homosexual regarding that issue?
Okay, here's the thing. People watch this and think, these are his father's friends. He's not going to discuss how he feels about homosexuals, we would think, with people like this. And I know you said you've got to do what you've got to do, you've got to work with what you have to work with. What does it say about Dharun Ravi that seemed to be, out of the gate, the strongest witness they had? Why would they not have called some of his friends or recalled some of the witnesses from before?
That's a brilliant point. And what's ringing in my head right now is that when you are a defense attorney in real life, you've got the parents really pushing on you, pushing on you. Maybe that's what happened here. I mean, you'd be surprised how hard it is to represent clients when you've got, if it's a child like this, a 20-year-old, you got the mom, you got the dad, you got older siblings, you got grandpas, you got aunts, you got uncles, all haranguing me.
Do they really tell you what to do and really?
No. They don't tell you what to do. They just harangue you, and I don't mean that in a mean way. They just want to get the best for their client, for their loved one, and a child. Well put. And so my guess is maybe the consensus was like, you do this, we think this is the best thing, and perhaps the lawyer said, you know what, maybe I think that's a good idea. I don't know. What's ringing in my head is that so much pressure was put on them to say, put this person on. He will say the best thing about Mr. Ravi.
But let me ask you this: if he went ahead and he did that, and maybe it didn't have the desired result, it will not have the desired result because it was just one thing after another of the same thing from these people who I think a lot of people might say they don't really know him the way that his friends know him. Can he make up that ground later?
Yeah, you still can. And I think you made a very good point about obviously coming out of the gate, you really want to put your strongest, start good, end good. That's the whole point of life, you know? And so clearly I don't think the start worked out so well. So he's got to just clean up, okay? And another argument would be maybe these teenage friends just don't portray themselves well on the stand. I have no idea, but maybe they just don't look good, they don't enunciate well, they don't portray themselves well. There could be any number of reasons none of us know about with the people that are around him. But teachers, professors, those would have been good. Coaches.
Yeah, and you know, we know he was on one team, and so, oh boy, okay. Well, we're going to keep talking about this. We understand, well,